comment on a post recently that I found really, really interesting. And the comment was, where do we start with this healing work? And I was like, that's really interesting. So I really wanted to break it down and talk about where to start with this healing work, specifically healing from these karmic people, right? These karmic love connections. I'm going to give you a concept and I'm going to make this very simple, and then I'm going to get really practical with it because that's kind of my jam. So where you start with the healing work in general, with any healing, you start by being dissatisfied with where you are, with realizing where you are is not where you want to be, and you decide where it is that you want to be, right? And it's your job to go from where you are and where you're dissatisfied to where you want to be and where you will be more satisfied with your circumstance, with your outlook, all of it, right? So from here to here, you might think, well, that's easy, you just go in a straight line. That's where it gets really tricky. If it was that easy, everyone would do it and we wouldn't need people teaching on it because it would just be so easy. You're here, you want to be here, you go da-da-da-da-da. It's not that simple. It is not a straight line to healing. Where you're at is, I don't feel lovable, and where I want to be is, I want to feel lovable. Okay? Again, not a straight line. It's not about just saying affirmations like, I am lovable, and that's it. Affirmations can help, absolutely, they're really, really powerful, but you don't want to be polishing a turd, right? You really need to, if you don't know my polishing a turd analogy, I will share it with you in due course. But you don't want to do that whole spiritual bypassing thing where you say, oh, I'm just going to pretend like this doesn't exist. No, look at it, what it is that is really troubling you. Polishing a turd is my way of describing spiritual bypassing. What we do in spiritual bypassing, what people do in spiritual bypassing, is they pretend that the dark isn't there. It's like the whole positive psychology movement of just think positive all the time, hashtag good vibes only, right? It's just not reality, and it's also, it can be wildly inappropriate if used in the wrong situation. If you're saying, oh, just look on the bright side, just think positively, just put out some good juju, if you're saying that's someone who's 1, grieving, 2, processing trauma, or 3, going through mental health troubles, you are not only not helping them, you are harming them. You are causing them to go deeper into their psyche, deeper into the darkness, and feeling more shame, more guilt, and feeling more isolated because you're not seeing what it is that they are going through. They are processing, right? Each process is different. Everyone's process is different, and the positive psychology movement can be so damaging because we're denying people their process, and they're going through it, and we're going, no, don't go through it, go around it, and you can't go around it. You can't. And some of the teachers that are really far along in their journey, they're 10, 20, 30 years into their journey, and they're talking about things like unconditional love, right? So they're way over here, and you're way over here, and they're talking about all the love and light, and like they're legit, like that's where they've got to, they're in a beautiful state, that's fantastic. But what you're not seeing is what they went through to get there, because in the middle is all the shit you don't even want to look at, right? All the darkness, all the shadowy stuff, and you hear them talking about love and light, so you think you can go do and go around it and avoid all this, but you can't. You've got to go through it, and if you go there and go, I want to go around it, you're actually not going around it because you're not getting to the other side, because you've got to go through it, not around it. So instead of going around it, what you're actually doing is you're going around in circles and staying in the same place. And I really want this to land for you. You have to go through it. And so let's go back again to my other goalpost, that this is where I am and this is where I want to be. I don't feel lovable. I don't feel worthy of love. I want to feel lovable. I want to feel worthy of love, right? Again, you've got to go through it. But sometimes the shit we talked about is over here because it's in the past. It's past trauma, and you've got to look at that, right? But either way, there is shit to go through. And it's not linear. It's not quite so linear. And so that's all the conceptual stuff, and that is a really great framework. Now let's talk practically. What does that look like? It looks like coaching. It looks like counseling. It may look like journaling, the old soul searching. It may look like spending some time with yourself and asking yourself some really deep questions. It may look like listening to a shitload of podcasts, reading a lot of books. It may be writing yourself. That may be very cathartic to you. I'd recommend, if you're going through this and you are documenting it through writing, I would, if I was you, not publish it until you're through the healing process, and then you can look at it and say, do I really want to share this with the world, yes or no, because you can't take back a published book, right? So So just be aware of that, and take this from someone who wrote about her healing journey when she wasn't quite far enough along to share it. That is now immortalized on the internet, just saying. There's other things you can do in terms of expressing how you feel through creating music, creating art, dance, whatever your form of expression is, whatever your talent and your gift is. Use that. You can do things like anger release therapies, which are usually in person with a therapist, either a counselor or a coach, someone who can shout agreed to trigger phrases at you, and you basically getting the anger out of your body and hitting the crap out of a boxing bag with a rolled up yoga mat, rolled up with duct tape. Yes, I've done that. It was amazing. Highly recommend it. So it's taking the lid off that anger and saying, I'm mad as hell about this thing that happened to me. So it's like a stage. It's like realizing the thing happened to you. Then you get mad as hell about it, and you don't shove down the anger. You go, I need to deal with this. And sometimes we've shoved it down so far we don't even know it's there, but it kind of like pops up like a cork or something, and we go, I need to sort this cork out. It's not doing me any favors. So we lift the lid off the anger by getting it physically out of our body, and then we look at what's underneath that, which is probably guilt, shame, sadness, hurt, regret, betrayal, disappointment, heartbreak, all those kinds of things that actually are a lot more profoundly painful than anger, because anger sometimes feels like it can protect us. It doesn't. It hurts us. Staying angry at someone is very much like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That is a First Nations proverb. But it can be really challenging. It can be really dark. It can involve lots of lying in bed crying, right? That can look like a release. To other people on the outside, they might be like, what's wrong with her? Is she okay? But it's a release process, right? And if that's part of your process, let that be part of your process. Allow yourself to do that and to go through your process of coming to terms with what happened. And then obviously once you've done that, you get to tell a different story and say, I am lovable, I am worthy of love, and this is why. Right? But it's not about just flicking from I'm not lovable to I'm lovable. You just feel like you're lying to yourself. That's not going to help anyone, right? So it's really, really important that you go through it and not around it.